What's going on, guys? Aiden Chong here, back with another video, and today we're going to talk about the 3 things we learned coming out of Survivor Series 2025. I was originally going to do a recap of the show, but I kind of got bored doing it myself, so we're going to do the 3 things instead that we've learned again after the show. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, comment as well. Let's get into the video, baby. The one thing that we learned coming out of Survivor Series is that the WWE desperately needs to ditch the War Games concept. Now, as fun and as exciting the War Games can be, this year just really showed a lack of creativity for the match. Like in past years, we usually have high, action spots, big table bumps, a lot of weapons in the match, everybody has their own spot. But this year, it just fell off. For both the men's and the women's match, it felt like a lack of violence. There's barely any weapons used. We had one table come out in 2 War Games matches. Literally one table. And that just can't happen. There's no reason in the world how War Games, a match with 2 steel cages, 2 rings, war, and we have one table, 2 chairs, and kendo sticks that were treated like it was the grandest thing in the world. And that's not to say that the War Games matches necessarily were bad, because I felt both matches were actually decent. The women's match I thought was really solid inside the ring. For the men, it wasn't as good. I thought it was decent until the very end. I felt like that weird little, who was that, Austin Theory maybe coming out, kind of felt weird. But anyway, both matches were passable. But from a perspective of it's the War Games, and we're gonna have high action, high stakes, weapons, baby, we didn't have a lot of that. So I feel like if the future, we gotta go back to either a Raw versus SmackDown and just have stakes being there, or we go back to the traditional 5 versus 5 tag team elimination match, which probably is the better solution, because let's just be honest here. As fun as War Games can be, you need the right story for it. One thing I would say is last year's War Games, I don't know, it felt a little forced, with the stories going on. I feel like obviously you had the Bloodline versus the Bloodline story going with Punk involved as well, and I didn't hate it. It just felt like, do we really need the War Games for this match? We could have just done simple with the 5v5, but I understand that the tagline War Games is definitely better than just Survivor Series, but at the same time, we could do a lot better to put on a better show and just hype our fans to want to watch something instead of just being there and be like, oh, we have War Games, we're not to do too much. We're going to, use our same 2 spots we do every year, and that's it. Hopefully next year they get the memo, and hopefully we get a new concept for Survivor Series, whether that's just back to the traditional 5v5, whether it's Raw versus SmackDown. Something new is needed for the WWE. So that was the first thing. The second thing that we learned after Survivor Series last night is the possibility of Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, number 3. Now, as many of us know, we've had 2 WrestleMania main events, WrestleMania 39 and WrestleMania 40, where Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes was the end-all be-all main event of WrestleMania. The first match, Roman won. The second match, Cody won. And honestly, both matches were phenomenal. I happened to be in attendance for the second one, so it comes a little bit more bias points for me. But I thought that first match in ring was one of the best WrestleMania matches I've ever seen in my life. I genuinely thought, like, holy shit, they really picked it up. And this felt grand. Even though we had the Hollywood banner, we had everything going for it, the story, the interferences, everything made sense until Solo Sikoa interfered. Kind of wish we had a better finish than that, but that's just how it ended. And in the moment, people were upset. People were like, oh, damn, I hate this. This is bull. Roman should have lost. But with the story coming afterwards, I personally think it was worth it, and it makes sense for Cody to have lost that first match to have the redemption of the second match. Now, I don't know if the whole we want Cody movement happens necessarily. If, in their original plan, I feel like that was something that just kind of happened in the spur of the moment. But that being said, either way, it ended up being a phenomenal story. I think we ran that back for the 3rd time with Cody as champion, possibly leaning towards the heel side with Roman Reigns being the babyface in this. I'm okay if Roman Reigns beats him. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, the biggest determination of who wins this match is simply like, does Roman need it? Does Cody need it? I don't think that either of them necessarily need a win, but who does this propel in a better scenario? Because if Roman Reigns is here to stay for a couple more years, he could 100% win this match. And honestly, I'd be very down for it. I think it'd be really fun, really exciting. And for Roman Reigns to, again, be the WWE champion, I think a lot of fans would be happy. But there's also another side of fans who would be genuinely upset with that. And I totally understand. Part-time Roman, they don't want to see it, and it's valid. But then when it comes to Cody, do people think that he's actually going to turn heel in this big storyline? Because honestly, Cody Rhodes turning heel is something that I think will eventually happen. I just don't know when you necessarily pull the trigger. I think as a babyface, it's working, but I do like seeing the hints of a heel turn here and there, where it's like, all right, could happen, probably won't, but it could at the same time. Like, I think him versus Randy Orton is a match that we are definitely going to see. Just depends on when. Do we think that's big enough for WrestleMania? I would say yes. I think the casual wrestling fan would say yes. Will Triple H say yes? Probably not, honestly. Triple H, for whatever reason, has been booking Randy Orton like shit. So Hopefully, Randy Orton can get some better booking, and maybe we can get him the WWE Championship again. But at the moment, from what they built last night, when Roman went to go dap him up, help him up, Cody Rhodes said, "Nah," got in his face, talking shit, whatever. And then Roman's like, "This is the last time we're ever teaming." And I don't know where this leads. Hopefully, we end up getting a Roman Cody 3. I think at the Rumble, honestly, because a lot of people are going to be like, "Hey, it's at WrestleMania." It's probably going to happen in the Rumble. It's in Saudi Arabia. They got to pay them big dollars to get that big match, which, again, if you can do it, I understand it. Cody Roman should be a good match. If you're asking me who I would book to win, at this current moment in time, it's Roman Reigns. Now, if he isn't going to stay, then obviously you have Cody Rhodes go over. But if Roman Reigns is going to stay in his semi-part-time, I'll be full-time for a month schedule, then sure, give him the title for a little bit, but have him drop it semi soon after the Seth Rollins. But if not, Cody Rhodes goes over. Either way, it would be a instant classic and something WWE should capitalize on. And the last thing that we learned coming out of Survivor Series is that the WWE has got to increase this match card limit, because this match card was only 4 matches. And I believe with the lack of matches, it kind of made the card feel a little bit flat. You know, for a stadium show, we had 4 matches. And Elimination Chamber also had 4 matches, if I'm not mistaken, as well as the Rumble. I believe all of those cards had 4 matches. And I'm not saying we have to have 12 matches on a card or like AEW, which I believe they perform well on their pay-per-views, but 12 just feels a little too much. I think the perfect, happy medium would end up being like legit 7 or 8 matches. I feel like that's a great part for a card. I don't like the fact how we have some pay-per-views where it just feels like I want a lot more, and then some pay-per-views where it's like, damn, this flew by fast. If we had another match or two, like, yo, this would have been nice. And there's certain times where a pay-per-view doesn't need 27 matches. We have 5 heavy-hitting stories for 5 great matches, and I can live with that, right? But when we have 4 matches last night, and I don't know if any of them necessarily exceeded people's expectations, Women's War Games was a good match. John Cena Dom was a good match. Stephanie Nikki was an okay match. And the Men's War Games match was just So, nothing really exceeded your expectations, and it just left you wanting, craving just a little bit more out of the WWE last night. And for a lot of people who've lately been saying WWE is boring or WWE is mid, I'm not one of those people. I've enjoyed the product. I'm not going to say it's the best it's ever been. There's definitely ways to improve it, and I would personally enjoy if they were to start, producing better on these pay-per-views, giving us more matches. Like, Crown Jewel a couple months ago was really solid. We had Cena, AJ, Cody, Seth. We had Stephanie and Tiffany. We had a lot of good matches on that card. It was a heavy hitter. And then this one was just like, I want more. Like, we could have done better than that. But I'm not really sure how we're going to be able to do that. If we got to tweet a Triple H, tweet artist pleasures or whatnot. But with the next big pay-per-view being the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, I really hope that they take into consideration to make that a 5-match card. Now, granted, the Royal Rumble is different. So if it ends up being 4, I can semi-live it myself. Elimination Chamber, though, I feel like that's got to be a 5-match card. I just feel like when you try to do these 4-match cards and just building off of 2 matches, I don't like it personally. It just feels like it gives too much expectation for those 2 big matches. If one of them or both of them don't deliver as best you wanted to, then it's just like, damn, I couldn't care less. And I would have much rather had other matches and just rename this pay-per-view to like Battleground or something. With that said, those are the 3 things that we learned coming out of Survivor Series. I want to hear what you have to say down below in the comments. I did cut out a portion of me talking about how important it is for Liv Morgan to be on television, how she's such a pivotal part of women's wrestling, and I'll include this right now. Basically just saying how I believe with her big return is such a pivotal part to WWE Raw and just WWE in general. I feel like this helps the quality of TV so much more and just makes it that much more like watchable for any casual fan, hardcore fan. It honestly takes it from just being like, it's Raw, I'll watch it, whatever, to be like, okay, I gotta actually watch Raw because we have all these stories. Judgment Day, Dom, Finn, Roxanne, Raquel, we can have main eventers, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, all these things that rely on Liv Morgan. I feel like now her being back, it really is important to WWE. But again, those are the things we learned coming out of Survivor Series, and the things I just wanted to highlight. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Let me know what you think of this video if you want to see something more like this again. And we'll see you all in the next one. I'm Ian the Chong. Happy Chongmas or Merry Chongmas, whatever you want it to be, and I'm out.